This is Oklahoma Inside Out, a weekly broadcast of Cimarron Alliance that focuses on the issues, culture, and people important to LGBT Oklahomans. And now, here's your host for Oklahoma Inside Out, Scott J. Hamilton.
Welcome back to Oklahoma Inside Out, and welcome to November. This month has already started off exactly like it's supposed to, with chilly days and cool nights and lots of ideas for fall entertaining, especially with Thanksgiving coming up in only a couple of weeks. And that's why we have our guest on today that we have. One of our all-time favorite guests on Oklahoma Inside Out is here today to help all of us prepare for Thanksgiving, and to do so in a way that prevents us from being totally stressed out, allows us to enjoy the holiday and the company of our friends and our family, or at least our friends in some cases. It's going to be a great pleasure talking with him today. I'm awfully glad that you're with us, and I know that you'll be glad too. We'll be back with our guest right after this.
This edition of Oklahoma Inside Out is made possible through the generosity of friends and supporters like you. To support this program and the advancement of equal rights for LGBT Oklahomans, please consider making a generous gift today at CimarronAlliance.org.
Today that would delight you, and there's no doubt in my mind that that's the case. We have talked to him before about entertaining. We've talked to him about summer vegetables, about seasonal things, and there's no better season to talk about food, at least for me, than the fall. And it's my great pleasure of welcoming back to Oklahoma Inside Out Chef Scotty Ranney from In the Kitchen with Scotty. Welcome back.
Well, thank you very much. It's great to be back.
I've got to tell our audience, you
Sure.
flew in here today in your chef's clogs, your chef's pants.
My chef drag.
Because you have been a busy guy.
It has been a busy time for myself. I have a personal chef business, and I also have a little sauce and spice blend company called In the Kitchen with Scotty.
Now let's be honest here. Little was when you started that business. It has really grown.
Now he's about a teenager, so he's getting on up there. It's been a great, fun, wonderful experience, and I can't say enough about how happy I am with the support of everyone, not only in the LGBT community, but just all over Oklahoma City. It's been wonderful.
I love the fact that when someone produces locally a good product that's consistently good, people pay attention to that.
They do. And I like the whole idea of people embracing local, really looking out for the small business companies and the whole buy local, buy small. It's a wonderful thing.
And we've talked about that with you on this broadcast,
Sure.
about the need to buy locally. And I'll confess, I got a great deal on blackberries last week that were from Mexico.
Well,
but they were great blackberries, and I made lots of blackberry jam.
Great.
And besides just putting that on hot biscuits, which I think is probably one of God's greatest creations, biscuits with butter and blackberry jam, what else would you do with jam?
With jam, you can make like those little cookies. You can make those little thumbprint cookies where you could throw a little bit of jam in there. Blackberries, if you're into venison, or if you're a game hunter, making a nice blackberry sauce with a little demi-glaze and some venison fillets is probably one of the best things ever to do with venison.
And I had never thought about that, but that would play well with the gaminess of the movie.
Oh, sure. And then
it'd be good with duck too.
Duck would be great. If you ever get a hold of any sour cherries, that'd be great with duck. Peach and pistachio is a great combination with duck, and actually makes, if you over the summer, if you were productive enough and decided to preserve some strawberries or some peaches, fall this time of year, duck, pistachios, and peaches. It's a wonderful,
that
wonderful
sounds
thing.
great.
Yeah.
But before we finish today, we're going to talk about cooking things other than turkey for
Sure.
Thanksgiving.
Okay.
But let's start with some appetizers for Thanksgiving or for fall entertaining, because obviously the Thanksgiving meal is a big meal. But it's also hard to get everyone there at exactly the same time.
Right.
People want to have a drink or a
Right.
glass of wine. What do we do for appetizers?
Well, if you're anything like my family and especially my friends, I'm thinking of a couple people offhand right now who just absolutely, when they're ready to eat, they need to eat. So, yeah, if you're having a bunch of people over, and whether it's the holidays or even if you're just doing a little cocktail party at home, always have something to snack on. I mean, people love that. For holiday wise, you can never go wrong with a good cheese ball. Cheese balls are always good. Think about some dips. If you're if you need some bread items, make little crostinis. Slice a baguette on the bias. Toast those, and then smear them with. I mean, you can go as easy as smearing them with cream cheese and then maybe a little cranberry fennel compote from In the Kitchen with Scotty.com. Or you can make like some chopped tomato and fresh basil and mozzarella and just kind of put those on there, and you have like a nice little platter of all these different.
And those are things that are nice because you can do them all ahead.
Oh, sure. You can the toasting the croutons, all that stuff you can do ahead. There's also nothing wrong with throwing out a little veggies. I mean, it sounds basic and easy and basic. It's kind of basic, but it's a great little snack, and it doesn't fill you up. And plus, you're not getting any vegetables anyway at Thanksgiving anyway, unless it's covered in sauce.
You're already chopping probably celery and carrots and
onions
anyway.
You're already doing your little mirepoix, your onion, celery, and carrots for just about everything. So have a little extra, and then just snap off some cauliflower and make Mama's Ranch, and you're set.
Well, okay, that's getting us started. But now we're going to take a break. But when we come back, we're going to look at the main event, the meal itself.
Okay.
Our guest today is Scotty Araney.
Hi, I'm David Macy, a board member of the Cimarron Alliance, and I'm asking for your help. We work every single day to make life better for gay Oklahomans, now and for generations to come. But we can't do it without you. Please consider making a gift of just $20 a month to the Cimarron Alliance and be a part of our march toward equality. Visit www.cimarronalliance.org today and make your pledge. It's a gift you can feel good about giving.
If you rely on the daily paper and local television news for information about your local, state, and federal government, then you are only getting half the story. The Oklahoma Observer goes beyond what other news sources provide. In fact, we offer news, analysis, and commentary that you can't find anywhere else. As quickly as things change at the state and federal levels, we all need to know how legislation affects our community and ourselves. But how can we make sense of what's happening at the state capitol and in Washington? The answer is the Oklahoma Observer. We make the information and the impact on you easy to understand. This way you can make truly informed decisions about your elected officials, community, and family. If you've never read the Oklahoma Observer or haven't read it in a while, I hope you'll take a look. You might be surprised just how much help we can be to you. Visit us today at okobserver.net. Our only agenda is to provide critical news for critical thinkers.
Welcome back to Oklahoma Inside Out. I'm Scott J. Hamilton, and we're speaking today with Chef Scotty, In the Kitchen with Scotty. And we've gotten dinner off to a good start with some great ideas for appetizers. It's hard when you're cooking for a crowd because everybody has that thing about Thanksgiving that without that thing, it's not Thanksgiving.
Right.
But when you open your home to family or friends, what are some things that you don't deviate from?
Well, I think what I don't deviate from off the bat is having that game plan. Knowing exactly who's coming over, you kind of plan the food and the whole event based on who's coming over. Clearly, how you want to handle your Thanksgiving. Are you going to have a sit-down meal where you're going to take care of everything, or are you going to have a whole bunch of people in and you're going to set up a bunch of food on the kitchen counters and people can kind of go through buffet style? If it's that kind of thing, there is nothing wrong with you telling yourself, I don't need to cook the entire meal, and stressing yourself out and basically making yourself crazy and tired and all that jazz before the meal's even served. Have a game plan is something that you always do. And kind of maybe get the basics in there, whatever you're used to. If people are coming over to your home, they should be happy to be invited over to your home to eat. So it's your call, it's your rules, whatever you want to do. If you are old fashioned and want you're going to have your turkey and mashed potatoes and green bean casserole and cranberry, so be it. Knock that out. If you want your guests to bring other things, and you may even include that in your invitation. If there's just something that you absolutely need to have for your Thanksgiving meal to make it great and wonderful, bring it. Some people will bring a bottle of scotch. Some people will bring their mother's coconut cake. I mean, it just all depends. So.
One year, we hosted a big Thanksgiving dinner, and one of the things that we asked everyone, what is that thing that without it, it's not Thanksgiving? With the idea that we were going to provide all that. But it was such an extensive list, things that I wouldn't have thought about. Can't have Thanksgiving without deviled eggs. Well, to me, that's not a Thanksgiving thing. So the next time we did it, we followed your suggestion where everyone was asked to bring that thing. And I was really surprised at in Oklahoma, there are things that we just associate with turkey. Cornbread stuffing is one of those things. But when you're in a larger city where we were, people brought oyster stuffing, white bread stuffing, rice stuffing, things that I'd never had before.
It's all regional. My mother's from Pennsylvania, so something that she's always enjoyed would be a oyster dressing. And then you go culturally. I've had people over for Thanksgiving, and one particular friend of mine comes from an Italian family. So before they even had the turkey, they started out with lasagna. Yeah, so he, it's not Thanksgiving unless he has his lasagna. And then, if you're Mexican American and maybe you enjoy enchiladas or something like that before your Thanksgiving, or any kind of soups. Persian, I'm half Persian. I personally wouldn't mind starting a new tradition where I have my ghormeh sabzi, which is a Persian meal or a Persian dish, sitting there. So you know what? It doesn't always have to be about the Thanksgiving and stuff. I think the whole idea about Thanksgiving is you're with friends and you're with family, you're with your family, and you're just, grateful to be with each other. So
I'm glad
it's
you
a big
said
feast.
that.
It's a big feast.
It is, and I think it's also perhaps one of the most forgiving meals because it doesn't matter how dry a turkey is. People will rave about this is the best turkey because they probably haven't had turkey since last Thanksgiving.
Right, exactly.
So I guess, listening to what you're saying, part of it is for the host has to have fun in doing this.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what, guys? Don't stretch yourself out about Thanksgiving. Just make it fun. Make it easy. Make it as easy as possible. I mean, you could, and I am so guilty of this too. I will plan out this wonderful, splendid, beautiful event that I have in my head, and of course it's in my home, and I'm planning all that stuff. You don't know what that week's going to lead up to, what you've got going on that week, and by the time you get home, you're basically, the heck with it.
Where's the Stofers?
Right.
Yeah.
Bring on some Stofers. Well, I wouldn't do Stofers or those dry box mashed potatoes.
I hear you.
But, you just basically go, okay, well, I'm just going to do a plain Jane dressing, and I'm going to have my cranberry and all that good stuff.
We're coming up on a break.
Okay.
But we're going to finish the main course and then look at dessert right
Okay.
after this.
Hi, I'm Lorette Taylor, past chair of Cimarron Alliance. I joined the board because I believe in the vision and the work of this organization. We're working every day listening to the concerns of our community and helping to address those very concerns. I hope you will consider supporting Cimarron with a gift. Even $10 a month will help. Working together, we really can achieve equality for all gay Oklahomans. Please visit www.cimarronalliance.org and make your gift today.
If you rely on the daily paper and local television news for information about your local, state, and federal government, then you are only getting half the story. The Oklahoma Observer goes beyond what other news sources provide. In fact, we offer news, analysis, and commentary that you can't find anywhere else. As quickly as things change at the state and federal levels, we all need to know how legislation affects our community and ourselves. But how can we make sense of what's happening at the state capitol and in Washington? The answer is the Oklahoma Observer. We make the information and the impact on you easy to understand. This way you can make truly informed decisions about your elected officials, community, and family. If you've never read the Oklahoma Observer or haven't read it in a while, I hope you'll take a look. You might be surprised just how much help we can be to you. Visit us today at okobserver.net. Our only agenda is to provide critical news for critical thinkers.
Welcome back to Oklahoma Inside Out. Our guest today is Chef Scotty Arani, and I got to tell you, watching what you have done in really a short time with your business, and you're still growing your private chef business, but in terms of entertaining in your home, do you still enjoy that?
Oh my gosh, yeah, I love it. That's not work for me. That is actually, it's very therapeutic. It's relaxing. I'm basically a hobbit in my personal life anyway. So I mean, I love having friends over and cooking for them, and it's all about the experience. It's not being in the kitchen and I've got to get this out first and I need to make sure my appetizers are perfect and the table is set perfectly. Nah, relax, have a good time, open up some wine. The whole idea is you're entertaining and you're relaxing and you're having a great time with your friends. Just laugh, be cool. And that all comes from having a game plan first. I mean, kind of know what you're doing. I mean, I wouldn't start off with, if you're cooking for your friends for the first time, don't do a 5-course meal and plan to flambe in the dining room and
Call the fire department.
right,
next.
exactly, because that can kind of end up in a mess. But you know what? Just have a basic game plan, but always keep that let's just have fun and relax attitude.
What about desserts?
Desserts,
Pecan pies, pumpkin pies.
Sure.
Those are traditional things. What are you recommending this year?
I also write a column for the Gailey, and
we should point out, if you have not seen Scotty's column in the Gailey this month, it's a must-read because it's a sweet potato pie.
it is a sweet potato pie with a marshmallow meringue, and it's one of the desserts that clients and friends and family ask for during the holidays, and it came about from when I was doing my culinary internship at Sandestin Resort in Florida. There was this little old lady. She was probably about 5'10", if that. Late 60s, early 70s, African American, just the sweetest woman, but you did not cross her. And one thing that she made that I absolutely loved was a sweet potato pie. And before I left, she actually sent home, before my drive back, I was moving back to Oklahoma, from Florida to Oklahoma. She sent 3 of those pies home with me. And I've kind of dabbled in Cosette's recipe. Her name is Cosette Blackman. Love her. I've kind of, stretched her recipe out and made it mine, which every good cook should do. And it's just a dang good pie. You can't beat a sweet potato pie.
I agree.
And that's also a regional deal. it's pretty big down here. But that marshmallow meringue really hits it.
And I think that's such a cool twist on it.
Sure.
I mentioned pecans a moment ago.
Mm-hmm.
We had a great pecan crop in my backyard
Good.
2 years ago.
So
Nothing
did
last
I.
year
Yeah.
and nothing this
The
year.
squirrels were bad.
Nothing.
Right.
Also, pecans are really expensive in the store.
They're up to
this
about
time of year.
$11.99 a pound, something like that.
And a pound of pecans doesn't go real far. Can you substitute other nuts?
You can, sure, yeah. Well, not for a pecan pie. I think
Right.
a pecan pie is pecan pie. Walnuts are a good idea, but this time of year, nuts are going to be expensive. There are just certain things that are going to be pricier. Of course, the nuts, the seasonings, the herbs, sage, thyme, rosemary. If you're into the fresh herbs, that kind of stuff is going to be a little higher. So, yeah, but you can do pecans. Maybe play around with pistachio. If you're really into pistachio, make a big pan of baklava. That's always
Ooh,
a good
that is
thing.
good.
I mean, that kind of takes the sweet, nutty dessert thing.
Now, before
well.
we took the last break, you were joking, of course, but you wouldn't use box mashed potatoes. What are some shortcuts, though, that it's okay to use? Let's, because hot rolls are traditional in my family for Thanksgiving, but to make rolls from scratch is a big deal. And I'll be honest, I don't mind using frozen rolls for Thanksgiving.
And that's another thing too, guys. I joke about the stovetop stuffing and box mashed potatoes. I don't do it because I know how to do it the real way. A lot of those convenience items are great, and if that's how you want to rock your kitchen for the holidays, then maybe you just go on and do it. Nothing wrong with buying frozen rolls. And if you really maybe like search the internet, there's easier ways to do a yeast roll. There's also nothing wrong with grabbing a box of Bisquick and adding some milk and throwing in some garlic powder and cheese and make little drop biscuits that you can have at your. I mean, that takes nothing.
Some
to do.
Seafood chain made a fortune doing
Oh,
that,
they made
didn't
ton. Yeah. I don't think I'm gonna go home and knock. I have been known to knock out some of that, and of course have In the Kitchen with Scotty sauces on top of that, which is a Jezebel and a cranberry sauce.
And let's talk a minute about that. Is it too late for people now hearing this broadcast this week to still get some of your great
Oh,
items for
baby, no,
Thanksgiving?
it's never too late. And in fact, there are 4 different locations in Oklahoma City.
Tell us where those are.
There, I just partnered up with Plenty Mercantile downtown. They are 8th and Broadway, Automobile Alley, and actually they are carrying the In the Kitchen with Scotty Thanksgiving pack.
What's in that?
The Thanksgiving pack is a large tin of my turkey punch seasoning, and turkey punch seasoning is basically you take out the guesswork of what are you going to season your turkey with. So it has there's a 7-ounce tin in there of all the seasoning you need. There's also something I call the cornbread dressing blend, and it's a salt-free spice and herb blend. And basically what it does is it lifts your cornbread dressing, your corn puddings, your corn casseroles, chowders, potato soups, cheese and beer soup. It's wonderful in that. But what it does, it kind of brings to life. You want to keep your Mama's recipe? Just go ahead and add a couple tablespoons of cornbread dressing blend to it, and it just kind of brings it up a little more, makes it a little more flavorful. And then also a jar of the cranberry fennel compote.
Which I've got to say is one of my favorites.
Thanks.
I've bought that a number of times because it's something I wouldn't have thought to put together, and I think it's because of that you go, this is really interesting.
Right. There's a lot of people, they read the label, and I either get, oh, wow, that sounds really cool, or they give me that, I don't know, I'm not a big licorice fan,
yeah.
and I don't like fennel. But you know what? Just taste it. It is. If you're not a big licorice fan, you'll try to figure out what is that flavor I'm tasting. If you are a big fennel fan, you're gonna adore it. It's wonderful. Great on on soft cheeses. It's great. I make this great goat cheese and shallot tart, and it's a wonderful accompaniment to that. Or just like I said, if you're doing those little crostini appetizers, goat cheese on there, or even cream cheese, a dab of the cranberry fennel compote, and it's wonderful. But basically, yeah, Plenty Mercantile has the Thanksgiving packs. New Leaf Florist, both locations, Uptown and over in Cassidy Square outside Nichols Hills.
That's on Britton and Penn.
Britton and Penn.
And then May at 24th Street.
Correct. And they don't have the packs, but they have the sauces. And then this wonderful shop in Midtown called DNA Galleries. They're in the Plaza District, and right next to Pie Junkies. And they are, I just love the people at DNA. They're very supportive of local artists and merchants, and they were kind enough to bring me in, and they're knocking it out of the park. But they have all my sauces down there, and then a few of the spice blends.
Before we let you go, let's look beyond Thanksgiving for a minute, because I absolutely adore duck. But that's not a real common thing to cook. Goose is probably less common in this part of the country.
Somebody cook my goose.
But let's talk just real quickly about game birds and how they differ from a honeysuckle turkey in cooking.
Well, they differ quite a bit. I mean, I come from a big hunting family, especially the bird hunters. In fact, that's what some of my family will be doing over Thanksgiving holiday. Pheasant, quail, partridge, all those things that fly, they're out in the game. They don't have a lot of fat on them. So you're going to have a darker, maybe drier meat, not much meat, especially with the quail. You're just basically using the breast, on that. But that's when you start introducing fat into how you're cooking them.
Like bacon.
Wrapping the quail in bacon, or larding your pheasant. And even if you're into slow cooked, if you have enough time to do all that stuff, remember proteins, tougher proteins, and this goes for any animal, low and slow, low temperature, slow cooking. And it just makes it more tender and juicier.
Because I'm really ready for duck, but rather there's a quicker way, just doing a duck breast, right? That's quicker than having to roast the whole duck.
And duck is real fatty too. So if you're roasting a duck, plan to see a bunch of excess oil down there, or if there's some, if you're really into duck and you don't want to mess with the whole cooking experience, down in the Asian district. There's a couple, Matt McNeil would know this, there are a couple of restaurants that you can order like a Peking duck style, and they will have it ready for you, and you can bring those home and enjoy them that way. Because there's, they have to, you blow up the duck, you're introducing air into the duck, and you let the duck dry out, and that's where you get that nice crisp skin. Or if you don't want to mess with all that and you just want to deal with the breast, you can buy duck breast, sear those, throw a little turkey punch seasoning actually would go great on that. Throw your favorite seasoning blend on there, sear them, and then throw them in the oven and roast them. And it's delicious. And save that duck fat, because then later on you can do some classical French recipes where you're doing your potatoes.
There's nothing like potatoes cooked in duck fat. I wasn't hungry before you got here, but you have given me so many great ideas. I know that our listeners are going to be thrilled.
Scott and I are going to get busy on some food after this.
We are. Give us your website again.
Website is www.inthekitchenwithscotty, that's with a Y.com.
InTheKitchenWithScotty.com. Our guest today has been a marvelous guest, as always. Scotty and Randy, come back and see us real soon.
Absolutely.
And happy Thanksgiving
Happy Thanksgiving to you and everyone else.
I hope that you've enjoyed this broadcast. I sure have, and I look forward to having you with us again next week. Until then, thank you to all the people who make Cimarron Alliance work and work well. Siali Siosi is our technical director for for this broadcast. Cimarron Alliance Board Co-Chairs are Allison Coffey, Catherine Primus. Cimarron Alliance Volunteer Coordinator is Jimmy Chavez. From all of us here to you, thank you for being with us. I hope that you'll join us again next week. Until we're able to be together, please hang on to the vision of a fair and just Oklahoma. I'm Scott J. Hamilton. Thank you for joining us.
Oklahoma Inside Out is a production of Cimarron Alliance, Central Oklahoma's preeminent LGBT advocacy and education organization. If you have a topic you would like to hear discussed or a person who you would like to hear interviewed, please call 405-495-9300 or email oklahomainsideout@cimarronalliance.org. Please feel free to share the link to this broadcast with your friends.